Alright, so hello everyone. My name is Alec Martinez, and my project was asking a simple planning question. I wanted to know if a higher share of New York's budget spent on economic development and government oversight in one year was able to line up with stronger jobs growth in the next year. So the roadmap for doing this, we're basically going to cover why the question matters, the background, the data, the method, the results, and what to do next. Why does it matter? EDGO is a small slice of the state operating funds. It's about 1%, but it funds capacity that helps programs run well and supports private investment. Just to contextualize, economic development and government oversight is about 1% of the New York's budget. Uh, Health and education are both 30 to 40% independently. So if we could move the share a little bit more and that connects with better hiring for next year, then it's useful to track for planning budgets just so that unemployment and economic growth in New York State can be better as a whole. My question was, does EDGO share in year T minus 1 predict New York's job growth in year T? And I expected a small positive link, and the basic idea was that a strong execution and oversight reduces waste and can make programs more effective, which can help hiring. And what was missing was a simple, reproducible check using public data and transparent code. And my project fills that gap. So for the data, we use EDGO's share, which was defined as economic development plus government oversight divided by total state operating funds, measured in the same year. We use jobs growth as the year-over-year percent change in total non-farm related employment in New York. And I also collected two simple national series to use as controls later. We use the U.S. jobs growth and the CPI inflation. And a control is a background factor we add so we don't blame EDGO for broader national swings. We're conducting a model in the laboratory of New York. We don't want a depression or a recession or broader economic trends in the United States to affect the results. So for the methods, I use ordinary least squares, and that is a straight line fit that chooses the line which makes the squared predictions errors as small as possible in a linear regression. I use a lag of EDGO share. A lag means I take last year's EDGO share to predict this year's jobs growth. And the idea is to give the policy time to work. If we implement a policy in 2015, we don't expect to see the outcome that we are looking to arrive at in the same exact year. So this is why I included a 1 year and a 2 year lag, so that in 2016 and 2017 we would better be able to see the results of this policy. I also ran a distributed lag, and I included both the 1 year and the 2 year lag together to see if the effects showed up later. And I also reported a joint F test, which asks which, when taken together, do these lagged EDGO terms help explain the outcome beyond zero. Lastly, I checked the Durbin-Watson number. Durbin-Watson tests whether the model errors show a pattern over time instead of being random noise. A value near 2 means no pattern, below 2 suggests positive or autocorrelation, which is stickiness from year to year. So before modeling, I looked at the summaries and a simple line chart of EDGO share and jobs growth. And the basic correlation between last year's EDGO share and this year's job growth was about 0.13. And this suggested that if any link that even existed, it was very small. But after doing the exploratory data analysis, we arrived at our results, and a coefficient tells you the direction and size of the link in the model. A standard error is the margin of error around that estimate, and a 95% confidence interval is a range that likely contains the true value given the data in the model. So the main coefficient on our prior year's EDGO share was about 0.486. The standard error was 1.511, and the 95% confidence interval ran from negative 2.312 to 4.185. There were 8 observations, and the R squared was 0.017. In plain English, the estimate is positive but imprecise. With this many years, the interval is wide, so I was unable to claim a clear effect. When including the timing checks of both the 1 year and the 2 year lag, the joint F test was about 6.872 with a p value of 0.322. And this said that the extra lag didn't add much here, so whatever signal there was seemed to sit in the 1 year lag. And the Durbin Watson was 1.399, which hints at positive or autocorrelation, so I had to read the estimates with some care. But aside from the results, what this means for planning is that I would likely treat EDGO share as a light monitoring signal. I would put EDGO share next to jobs growth on a small dashboard, and I would update the model as new years arrived, while avoiding using the estimate as a hard target. And the reason I do this is because there's limits to this type of model. This is association, not cause, as we're doing a experiment where we don't have a control and a treatment group. And there were very few annual points of only 8 years, so a single year was able to sway our results drastically. Calendar versus fiscal year alignments could shift timing at the same time, while EDGO was a broad bucket and the state operating fund denominator moves, so the shares can change for accounting reasons. Plain OLS standard errors assume clean noise also, so if there's autocorrelation or uneven variance, the precision can be off. So what would I add next? I would definitely add more years. I would split EDGO into program lines and use actual outlays, which is data that was beyond my scope as a consumer or a normal civilian using the Open Budget NY website. I would also line every series to the same fiscal year. I would build a county by year panel so that I could use fixed effects and remove time and variant local differences, which would usually give me tighter standard errors. Also, I would consider clear policy changes that might affect some places but not others, and I would consider using a difference in differences design if that was to occur, which is a common economic model used for policy decisions. But in closing, I asked whether a higher EDGO share in 1 year lines up with stronger jobs growth in the next. The first pass shows a small positive estimate, but with wide uncertainty. So for now, track it and update the model as data improves. Thank you for listening.